In football, a concussion typically occurs when the head and body are moving and the head is suddenly propelled into either a fixed object or an object moving in the opposite direction. Hi, I'm Dr. Max Gomez, and this is CONCACAF's Winner's Health, your football source for keeping players healthy and in the game. Just about every football player who suffers a concussion wants to know when and how they can get back to competition. It's easy to think, I'm ready, when you really love to play. But thinking you're ready and really being ready can be two very different things, especially when it comes to a concussion. A concussion is an injury to the head which literally causes the brain to bounce off the inner walls of the skull. This collision of brain and skull results in the temporary disturbance of certain brain functions, like balance, memory, vision, speech, or mental concentration. In addition, a wide range of symptoms, such as headache, fatigue, or dizziness may occur. In time, these neurological disturbances will generally self-correct, because after a concussion, and this is critical, the brain needs to rest and heal.
In the days following a concussion, the brain is in a more vulnerable state, and blood vessels and nerve fibers are more reactive to injury. Even the slightest blow can lead to devastating consequences, both physically and cognitively. This is why it is so important for a player to adequately rest and heal before returning to play. Symptoms and recovery is entirely unpredictable in each patient. It can take days to weeks to months to even years for a patient to fully recover from a concussion.
Since the time frame for recovery will vary from player to player, the general rule of thumb is not to return to playing until all signs of concussion are gone.
In adults, the recovery time is generally about 7 to 10 days, but in children, the recovery time can be longer since their brains are still developing.
Some players with a concussion will say they feel just fine. They'll think they can skip the whole process and get back to playing that very same day. But unless you're a professional player whose team has a doctor right there on site, equipped with everything needed to properly evaluate you, forget it. It's always better to err on the side of caution.
Well, if you have an injury on top of an injury that has not already healed, that can be catastrophic, particularly in adolescent players. We call that the second impact syndrome. What happens is the brain responds to that injury by swelling, which is a serious condition that requires prompt evaluation and treatment.
So, how do coaches, trainers, and parents make the right call? By putting players through a graduated program of exercise. FIFA endorses just such a program. A doctor-supervised 6-stage return-to-play protocol, which is extremely useful in assessing a player's recovery. The first stage of the protocol can best be characterized by 3 words: rest, 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 from any physical or mental exertion, which may mean taking a total break from school or work for a while. Because at this stage, even reading or watching TV may intensify symptoms like headache or dizziness and delay recovery. Only when symptoms are no longer interfering with simple everyday life should players move on to the second stage, easing back into exercise with light aerobics, like walking or swimming or using a stationary bike. As long as the heart rate is kept under 70% of its maximum, these exercises can be very beneficial. They get the blood pumping throughout the body and the head, and at the same time, they limit head-jarring motions that could re-aggravate a brain that is still in the early stages of recovery. The potential for re-aggravation is one reason doctors watch and wait at least 24 hours before passing a player onto the next stage of the protocol. This is critical. It takes time to properly assess if symptoms have gotten worse as a result of a new exercise. Inflamed symptoms are the brain's way of telling you, go back, you're pushing me too hard. In which case, a player needs to return to a stage where the symptoms were under control. In the third stage, players graduate to running, making sure they don't run too hard or too fast too soon. They may also begin doing light resistance exercises. But be careful, don't hold your breath while lifting weights. This is risky following a concussion. Holding your breath increases your blood pressure and slows the flow of oxygen to your brain. Both can be dangerous after a concussion. In the fourth stage, resistance training is intensified, and non-contact training drills are added into the mix to challenge coordination and measure the player's ability to process a lot of information all at once. Then there's the fifth stage, a return to full contact training, which helps restore a player's confidence and allows coaches to assess whether he or she is ready to face real competition. In the final stage, players return to play, but only if they are symptom-free as well as off any medication. Medications can mask symptoms that would otherwise be telling you you're not ready to go back. Bottom line, a brain that has suffered a concussion needs time to recover. Only time, careful evaluation, and a directed step-by-step process can let you know when it's safe to return to the pitch. We know it's tough to stay on the sidelines, but if you want to get back in, sometimes for a little while, the best thing you can do is just stay out. Thanks for joining us for CONCACAF's Winner's Health. Take care and stay healthy. For more information about concussions, please visit CONCACAF.com. In some situations, additional medical assistance may be required.